Hello and welcome to this week's review. So, what have we got for you this time around? Well, before I tell you, don't forget downstairs in the description there are all kinds of chapter headings if you want to skip bits of this review. But for everybody else, what do we have? Well, this is a high-end 2-box valve-based headphone amplifier. It's created by the UK outfit Icon Audio, and it arrives in two main flavors. So the two prices reflect the two different types of valves used within this headphone amplifier, and they're retrofitted, as it were. So if you want to buy this headphone amplifier with 300B type valves, that's going to cost you £2,499. But if you prefer to buy this amplifier sporting 205D replica valves, that will cost you £2,999. So why the choice and why the price difference? Well, we'll get to that. Now, the HP205D is a looker. Beauty, I know, is in the eye of the beholder. But for me, well, I'm on the verge of asking this one out on a date. Now, this is a strictly single-ended design. Why is this? Well, according to David Shaw, who is the designer and head honcho over at Icon Audio, he said, and I quote, "This design overran time-wise, so I was not able to develop a balanced output. And rather than rush a compromised design, well, David Shaw released it, didn't he? But Shaw was also concerned about the price points because a balanced suite of features would have upped that price." Now, I feel as though we're about to get into some techie talk, and we are. So that means we need to take a closer look. And welcome to the closer look section for the HP205D headphone amplifier from Icon Audio. And well, as I said in the thumbnail for this video, it is a beauty. Well, at least I think it's a beauty. This particular headphone amplifier is also based on a simple, pure design. And some of you may already know I love purity in terms of hi-fi designs. This particular design has it in spades. Hence, there are no circuit boards inside these boxes. This is a hand-wired point-to-point design with custom hand-woven transformers and selected oversized resistors. It features a Japanese Alps volume pot and a Class A triode circuit, and it matches headphones from 16 ohms all the way up to 600 ohms. More than that, apparently you can also upgrade all kinds of bits and pieces on this headphone amplifier. For example, you can upgrade the standard capacitors to some very high-end models if you fancy. Also, apparently you can upgrade the rectifier valve on the power section of this amplifier. All kinds of bits and pieces. What I would recommend is that you give the company a phone, and I'll put a link and a phone number down in the description if you want to see that happen. Now, this pure design should not only help the sound quality, but it should certainly help servicing further down the road if you actually buy one of these things and you want it to stay around for a long time. Because of the purity of this design, repairing this headphone amplifier should not be a problem when age sets in. This 2-box beast should last a very long time indeed. Hence, this is a real value for money product, especially the longer you have it. Now, as I noted at the beginning of this video, this amplifier arrives in two flavors. You can either run it with 300B valves, which are, well, for a headphone amplifier at least, pretty darned powerful, as you would normally find them in full-blown amplifier designs, but they should perform well here. Alternatively, you can upgrade the 300Bs to 205D valves. Now, the 205D is a directly heated triode valve, and it is an old design that was originally created by Western Electric. In fact, it's thought that the very first amplifier produced by the BBC, which was back in 1922, was based on 4 205 valves. Now, this 205D is special to this particular headphone amplifier design because the entire amplifier was principally designed around the 205Ds. The 300B valve option, well, that is certainly what it is. It's a low-cost option, in relative terms, that is, of course, if money is tight and maybe you want to upgrade a bit later on. But we'll get to that. We'll learn how these things sound a bit later on. Now, the HP205D also includes Bluetooth. Well, I say includes, it's actually an optional extra. So you need to spend a bit if you want Bluetooth. It's going to cost you an extra £100. And I have to say, it's a bit of a thing, a big thing for Icon Audio, for any Icon Audio product, to include Bluetooth. Because, well, Icon Audio tends to hold no truck with this newfangled digital nonsense. So I'll be interested to hear how this particular feature pans out. And on that bombshell, I think we need to hear how all of this headphone amplifier pans out, in sound terms at least. So let's go to the sound quality tests. And welcome to the sound quality tests for the Icon Audio HP205D headphone amplifier. And to begin the sound tests, I began with the 300B valves in place, and I decided to test the sound with a pair of decent, although not overly expensive headphones. I used a pair of my old HD650 headphones from Sennheiser. These are classic headphones. Many people, I'm sure many of you, actually own the 650s. Classic headphones, not exactly dirt cheap, not exactly super expensive, but you know, somewhere in the middle there. So why did I use them? Well, if you decide to buy this headphone amplifier, then it's quite possible that your budget may be, what's the word? Empty. I think that's the word I'm looking for, because you'll have spent all your cash on this valve amp. So if you're looking for a pair of high-end Swish headphones to go with it, well, the cash might not be there straight away, and you may need to fall back on some headphones you already have. And the 650s are the kind of headphones you may have. And I also wanted to find out if this headphone amplifier only performs with high-end headphones, or if it shows up for the lower priced models. And also, does it offer an appreciable sonic improvement between the low and the high-end headphones? All those kind of questions. Anyway, as for the music, I started with CD, and I played a solo single, well, the B-side of the debut solo single from a gentleman named Keith Relf. Now, you'll know Keith Relf as the lead singer of the 60s legends, the Yardbirds. And as I say, this was the B-side, a track called Knowing from 1966, and I played it from a CD compilation from the UK label Repertoire, and the compilation is called All the Fallen Angels, Solo Recordings and Collaborations 1965 to 1976, and I highly recommend this compilation, incidentally. This beautifully uncommercial, mid-tempo, rather romantic psychedelic outing drapes the vocal in echo, is backed with drums, 2 acoustic guitars, one of which is relatively close mic'd, what sounds like an oboe, and bass. First impression, playing all of this together for the first time? Well, the sound offered a full, a rich and expansive and yet very detailed presentation. Bass was an immediate headline. Bass was big, it was overflowing and quite lush. It gave the music a sense of power, that is, the potential of power, even if this track wasn't exactly, well, it wasn't exactly going in all guns blazing, if you get my meaning. Even so, this track sounded like there was heaps of energy in reserve. This meant, basically, that the entire sound oozed confidence. It was self-assured. It was full of self-belief. Tonal realism was excellent as well. That oboe sound I mentioned, well, that snuggled into the rear of the mix and it provided, well, a nicely reedy rendition, while the excellent transparency was highlighted by one of the acoustic guitars, the one in the rear of the mix. Again, the slow strumming from this guitar was detailed and focused. So much for the, as it were, lower quality headphones. I then upped the headphone quality and I exchanged my HD650s with more expensive Sennheisers. I kept with Sennheiser, wanted to keep the personality, just up the quality. So I tried HD800s and, well, blimey, the added capacity of the HP205D showed how serious this headphone amplifier really is. The amount of overall focus, well, it shot up, and the clarity along with it. The vocal, the acoustic guitars, the lot increased by 100% in terms of detail. Now, sure, the 800 series is a better class of headphones, but really, the Icon Audio head amp allowed it to fly in the first place. So guitar strums were beautifully rendered. The metallic nature of the strings were wonderfully conveyed. The amount of space in and around the instruments was also brought more into the picture now. That space and air around the performance was a real factor now. Again, the sheer clarity of the presentation was quite startling. I then turned to Edie Gourmet, as one does in life. In this particular occasion, I listened to her Spanish language track, Vereda Tropical, and this particular song offered a real husky vocal from Gourmet, which the HP205D easily tracked and effectively as well. It added a real sensuality to the delivery. It easily conveyed the sense of passion from this performance. There was also some backing percussion and Spanish guitars, which spread themselves over the wide soundstage, offering a big bank of sumptuous detail. Next up, well, I upgraded the valves. So far, so good then. As I say though, there is one trick up the HP205D's sleeve that threatens to further enhance performance. That is, removing the default set of valves or tubes for my American friends out there for completely different valve types to hopefully improve the overall sound. That's what I did here with the help of Icon Audio, of course, and I replaced all of the 300Bs with 205D valves. I then returned to Mr. Keith Relf and, well, the comments that I made earlier regarding the mids and the treble, well, run those by your ears again and +1 each and every comment. Basically, in treble and mid-range terms, what the 205Ds were able to do was to give you all of the good stuff and then some. It pushed clarity further down the road. It extended the dynamic reach around the upper mids. It added detail and clarity. In terms of bass, well, that needs a bit more explanation because the power was still there. The weight wasn't quite as weighty, but there was more focus now, I would say. Bass was tighter, leaner, but without losing much of any real power. The agility of the bass was now more enhanced. Bass was more nimble now, whereas bass could be, with the 300Bs, very massy, very large and imposing. Now, we're talking degrees here, but the differences were certainly there. When listening to ED Gourmet, I noted Gourmet's voice was slightly clearer with the 205Ds, tonally a little purer, while there appeared to be a greater degree of reverb around the percussion. On a general note, the 205Ds also seemed to run a little quieter. Now, there was a minimal hum around the 300Bs that, well, it never impinged on the performance, so there's nothing to worry about if you want to go for those files. But if you listen to the headphones when no music was playing, the 205Ds appeared to lower the noise floor just a bit. So finally, I tried the included Bluetooth option. Now, for Icon Audio, adding Bluetooth is quite startling. It's a bit like finding fairy dice dangling above the dashboard in your Rolls Royce. It takes you back a bit. Icon Audio is such a classic, traditionalist and straight-ahead company that finding Bluetooth in one of its components, well, it takes a bit of getting used to. What would Mother say? Even so, I hooked up my Aston & Kern Can Alpha and played a few ditties, a little bit of Tom Waits here, a bit of Miles Davis and the Doves. To begin, when changing the source button to Bluetooth, the HP205D plays a little song, which is very cheeky, but nice. In terms of sound quality, well, I was pretty impressed. Firstly, because Bluetooth here supports LDAC. Hurrah! The playback is free from booming bass, pinched treble, and constricted mid-range. This flavour of Bluetooth will be of interest to anyone who appreciates sound quality. Now, sure, it ain't perfect because Bluetooth isn't. Bluetooth is compromised and has a way to go, but with LDAC it has made huge strides towards a sound that I for one find acceptable. And believe me, there was a time when I never thought Bluetooth would ever reach acceptable. For the HP205D then, well, Bluetooth passes the test. And that's basically the review of this headphone amplifier, this valve-based headphone amplifier. So how can I sum up this review? Well, let me give you some final thoughts, then we'll do some pros and cons, and then a rating. Let me reassure you, this is a mighty headphone amplifier. Sure, it's not cheap, but believe it or not, money doesn't automatically buy sound quality. Money just gives you a larger build budget. You've still got to do the work if you want to turn that hard cash into great sound quality, and that's what we've got here. My one criticism of this product: there's no balanced option. There's no sockets for balanced headphones. I would have loved to have seen Pentacon on the front, for example, and there are no balanced sockets at the back. But look, while it would have been nice, for me at least, maybe you would think differently, but for me at least, it's not a deal breaker because there's so much to love here. This is a single-ended machine. And you just need to go into this with your eyes wide open. If that's what you want, take a serious look at this product. If you're really into your balanced sound, well, obviously not then, hey. But if you can use single-ended, then the HP205D offers great sound quality, focused mid-range, meaty bass, delicate treble, loads of transparency, broad soundstage, the lot. Oh, and it also has the flexibility of being upgradable. You can upgrade the valves and all kinds of other bits, capacitors, if you fancy that as well. Plus, there's the fact that you can discuss all of this with real people who will actually pick up the phone when you want to talk to them and will help you tweak and modify to your heart's content. In the end, you will have a superb headphone amplifier package here. The Icon Audio HP205D offers stunning good looks. It provides a thoughtful and intelligent design, and it sounds excellent. And if you will allow me to end this review on an English perspective, well, it is terribly wonderful. Pros and cons. In the good section, well, we have oodles of nice things to say about the sound. For example, we have a beautifully neutral mid-range. We have an insightful treble. We also have a strong yet lean bass with the 205s, and we have a more meaty, massy bass with the 300s. Even so, with those two perspectives, bass still sounds good. We also have the ability to upgrade, whether you're talking about the valves themselves, or the capacitors, or the rectifier valve, or, well, all kinds of other bits, basically. So there's lots of flexibility in terms of upgrades here. I will also add value for money, because despite this particular product being rather expensive, the longer you have it, the cheaper it'll become. And because this box is, or boxes are easy to service, this should last you for the rest of your life. So in those terms, this particular headphone amplifier costs next to nothing. Hey. Finally, I loved the Bluetooth performance. I love the fact that it supported LDAC, and it sounded very nice indeed. In terms of the bad, well, it's a shame there's no balanced features on offer. But as I say, go into this one with single-ended in your head and you won't be disappointed. And even without balanced features, that won't stop the HP205D from getting an award-winning rating, which it does here. So I'll be giving this a groovy 8 out of 10. Congratulations to Icon Audio. And that's a lot, folks. Thank you very much for staying to the end of the video. If I could ask you down there somewhere, if you can click on the like and subscribe buttons, I would be cock-a-hoop. Also, a bit further down, check out the links to my Patreon page, also my website, and my Facebook group as well. If you can support me on Patreon, that would be much welcome, because Patreon funds this channel, and without Patreon, there is no channel. It's as stark as that. Check out Patreon, all kinds of exclusive stuff over there. You might want to just browse through and see what you think. There will be another video, and that will be Friday, and it'll be, well, it should, no, well, actually, keep a look at the community tab. I will keep you up to date. There might be a Friday video, there might not be, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in the community tab later in the week. It depends how time goes. There's a good reason, but I'll talk about it in the tab, as it were. Is that what you say? Is that what people on the street say? I'll check you out in the tab. Maybe. They do here now, hey. Anyway, I will see you in the next video, whenever that might be. So if it's not Friday, it'll be next Sunday. As I say, keep a lookout. Until that time, folks, and I'd like to have your company, so please join me again. Until that time, bye-bye for now.